So I get my side of the paperwork together, W-2s, bank statements, all that, give that to you. You give that to the bank, start the whole process going, and then hopefully we find a buyer. And I'm hearing a lot of buyers are reluctant to go into short sales. And then what, worst case scenario, okay, I guess best case scenario, we get the buyer. Worst case, and then what happens? And worst case scenario, what if we can't find a buyer?
Okay, well, a lot of questions.
Yeah, sorry.
So here's where we're going to start, is
Okay.
that I do get all the paperwork from you. I only submit complete packets to the bank. I have everything I submit to the bank has your loan numbers associated with it. We are very diligent. We know what the bank needs. So we pull together the packet, we send it to the bank, and we are set up on a regular follow-up situation. We send the packet to the bank and we follow up within 3 days to make sure the bank has the information, and then we follow up. We know every step that they take, we know how long it should take, so we move the packet forward. If you simply send something to the bank and don't follow up, you're going to fall between the cracks. The banks, from the bank's perspective, they are absolutely inundated with short sale requests. These requests are coming in small bits and pieces. Very few people actually put together complete full packets and respond quickly. So from the negotiator standpoint, they don't know who they're dealing with. When they find out that we're dealing with someone that's going to get them the information back quickly, they respond more quickly. It's like anybody else. If they get tired of asking for the same thing over and over, they simply are going to close your file and move on. It's not unusual for a negotiator to have anywhere from 200 to 500 files they're working on. So these guys are absolutely slammed. The banks, some banks have hired a lot of people and trained them well in what to do. Other banks have not. So it's a real crapshoot on exactly what's going to happen. So I pull the information, I get it to the bank, we follow up, and we do all the rest of the work for you to get this through. We'll communicate with you all the way through as to what's happening. Clearly, I can't negotiate a short sale if we have no buyer.
Right.
So what I do is I work with your listing agent. We always start off at fair market value because we are not trying to ruin an already depressed market. We start at fair market value. We advertise it. We work very hard to get an offer on your property. If that offer does not come, the listing agent will go through a systematic routine of reducing the price until we get offers on the property or until we're getting showings. I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't do that part, but the agents are skilled in working with this, and they will be lowering the price until they start getting offers and they get written up. From the buyer's perspective, there are a great deal of shorts out there, and people are buying a lot of shorts, but they get frustrated when the shorts don't close. We have a very high closing rate. We have a very, very good reputation. And typically I find that buyers, knowing that someone is handling the paperwork, negotiating with the bank, and pushing this through is to our advantage. But if we can't get a buyer, the property will go to foreclosure, and there are consequences, which we talked about.
So the short doesn't stop the foreclosure process?
It does not. You're going to hear from many people that they can stop foreclosures. The foreclosure process is the bank's process of collecting the collateral on the loan, and you really can't stop it. I think you have to go into this respecting the fact that we're defaulting on a loan, and the bank has every right to go through the foreclosure procedure, and they're going to do it. From the other side of it, I don't represent the bank, I represent you. My job is to get the offer that we have to the bank, present it in the best light, because at the end of the day, the bank's looking, and when we say bank, really what we're referring to as the investor, is looking at only two things. Are they better off with a short sale, or are they better off with a foreclosure? And if it's 1 penny more benefit to go to a short sale, they're going to do it. On the other hand, if the offer is not high enough and they think they can do a better job in a foreclosure, they're going to go that route. They don't care about you. This is just a numbers game.
So we've successfully negotiated with the bank, and in the best case scenario, we found the buyer, and then what happens to my second?
So Nina, what will happen is when we're negotiating this payoff to the second, what we're going to be asking for is very clear and concise deficiency release language in the approval letter. And depending on the bank, it will depend on what the language looks like. The language might be very clear to the point where it is saying for $4,783.21, we are releasing and forgiving $92,000 in debt.
Okay.
It may also be rather ambiguous, where it doesn't say that they're preserving their right, but they're not going after you. And there might be situations where we work for additional language, and if we're not able to get it, and we have questions about whether or not to move forward, I will have you work with an attorney that we work with to figure out what the best avenue is for you. The important thing is we want to get that deficiency addressed at the time of the transaction, so you know where you're going to be. One other thing I will mention to you is often people use the terminology on deficiency, on a deficiency judgment, and all these sort of things completely incorrectly. So in the case of a short sale, you cannot get a deficiency judgment, because for you to get a judgment, it has to have gone through court. Judgment is a judicial system. So in a short sale, we are, as we talked earlier, this is going to be a non-judicial short sale, which means it's simply going to be a posting. So when the bank is done, and if we do not get a deficiency release, they do not have a judgment. The only way they can actually get a judgment is to sue you, and you will know if they're suing you.
Okay.
So you will see this terminology used a lot, that they get a deficiency judgment. It's not true. They're either going to get a deficiency release, or it's simply going to be left active. The only way they get a judgment is if they sue you. If they sue you, then they get a judgment, but it's not really a deficiency judgment because they did not sue you for the foreclosure.
Oh, I got. Okay, so what we're really after in the perfect world is getting an approval letter for the deficiency for my first, and also approval letter to get a deficiency forgiveness on my second as well.
Right, which is clearly spelled out.
Okay, wonderful.
That's our goal.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
That'd be good. Thank you. My other question was, how soon can I buy again?
And that's a good question. It depends on who is writing the loan. Typically, you're looking at, you got multiple factors involved. One of it is going to be your credit score. How quickly does your credit score get back up? Your credit score is going to come up quickly, depending if you are continuing to make payments. You're not going to have that much of a credit ding. And if you have stopped making payments and you start making payments again on all your debts, typically within about 24 months, those late payments start falling off and start having less of an impact. We're going to go into a credit section where we'll discuss it in detail, but in general, that's kind of the way this works.
Okay.
Then the various lenders, FHA, Fannie Mae, all of them, have various criteria on when they will lend to someone again that has gone through a pre-foreclosure transaction like a short sale or a foreclosure transaction. All of them view a short sale in a much better light than they do a foreclosure. In a short sale, the perception is that at least you're trying to do the right thing and take care of your obligation. One other thing I will say is that banks only make money if they lend money. And as the number of people out there that are going through this sort of thing is getting larger and larger, their pool of available clients is getting smaller. So whatever is true today may not necessarily be true tomorrow. They may loosen up some of these requirements. Right now, a lot of the lending requirements we've done the pendulum thing. We've gone from the liar loan where they gave money to anybody to where now they're over-restrictive to a point that's strangling people. And they need to come back to center, and that will occur. Okay,
so if I've had a pretty good credit rating up to this point, which I have, and I explain when I go to buy that they can clearly see that I've had a really good payment history up until my layoff, and then so it looks pretty good for me, essentially, hopefully.
I would be saying somewhere beyond 3 years, you'd be eligible for most loans.
Okay. Okay.
If you chose to get back into the game.
Yeah, that's another thing. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.